With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am ensconced within the great SHR Media studios, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles from the locus of evil on the entire West Coast, the Bill Mill, the Capitol building in Sacramento in Fornicalia. And I have to say that you got to belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Dirk, a new guy for late 2018, is going to be your bartender tonight. He pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is in fact lighted. To my left, your right, not lighted very well. Actually, that's not very warm. I think maybe I need a new bulb because it's not burbling very much. What that means, though, is that you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com right there. And I'm looking at the chat room. And already in the chat room, there's Mike and there's Mary Brockman. So thank you for being in chat. Today, by the way, is December 18th, the year of our Lord 2018. What that reminds me of, though, the lava lamp, is that not only can you listen and chat at shrmedia.com, but you can watch the show on the SHR Media Facebook page. Just go into your search engine, type SHR Media, Facebook, you'll find it. Or if you go into YouTube and at the top where it says search, just type in SHR Media and you'll be able to find the YouTube channel right there. If you go into our YouTube channel, make sure you like us, make sure you follow us on Facebook if you would kindly, pretty please. We appreciate that. And then if you want to on YouTube, get notifications as to when the show is going to be on. If you go to the upper right of YouTube, there's a little kind of a bell-looking icon up there. And if you go click on that bell, you'll get a notification for anything and everything that happens to be on the SHR Media channel on YouTube. And that includes myself and Sackheads. Okay, talking about the Shat Show, Sackheads Against Tyranny. I hear it on possible good terms that there may be a chat show tomorrow. Now, I have personally texted Sackhead's Clint to find out if he's going to be here tomorrow. I haven't gotten any return yet. I mean, it's like building a freeway. Rhinoplasty, when involving Clint, is like hiring a contractor to build a freeway and hoping that there aren't certain glitches along the way. In other words, have you got the right gravel, that kind of stuff. It's one thing after another. And, of course, in construction, and with regard to Clint's nose, my God, it is construction, as you probably guess. And so there's cost overruns. They have to rebudget just because of the acreage involved, if for no other reason. Anyway, I have to tell you this. Here at the saloon, we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law, we talk about it all here. At the saloon, nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, and make sure you tip your waitress. Tonight in the saloon, we have the incomparable KARI Baxter Donovan. And we'll see if the telephonic gods will smile upon me as I attempt to contact her, because, as you know me, sometimes the telephonic gods are not kind with me. Hey, KARI Baxter Donovan, the telephonic gods were kind to me tonight. I got you first time.
Yay.
Yeah, yay is right. That's semi-unusual for me, but with perseverance, usually I manage to call back. So welcome to you and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you, and I'm so happy to talk to you tonight.
You have been all over the place. Now, we'll get to a lot of stuff. It's Christmas time, so I was just playing jingles and whatnot. First things first, I always like to do this because, listen, okay, you don't have a show here, but as far as I'm concerned, you're like SHR, okay? So what I want to do is, first thing off the bat is tell the folks where you can be found on social media, and then tell everybody where your website is located.
Well, so I changed my Twitter name since I've spoken to you last.
I know, I saw that.
SAROSA 1776. Yeah, I changed it because my joke, I started that Twitter name before I was, passing it out to anybody, and nobody got my joke, so I changed it. So I'm there on Twitter, and I'm also on KARI Baxter Donovan on Facebook.
Okay.
And my site is populist.media. So it's on Facebook and at www.populist.media.
Okay, now,
pretty cool.
You spelled it, and I want to make sure that I emphasize this, folks. If you're looking to try to find, for those of you who just may have tuned in, welcome to Whiskey Dale and Chat as well. For those of you who just may have tuned in, KARI Baxter Donovan is BZ's original East Coast political goddess. Just like White Mamba is BZ's official attorney, KARI Baxter Donovan is BZ's official East Coast political goddess. And so when we talk to KARI, we customarily talk about politics. And there's a ton to go into. But first, this is one of those nights where I don't feel like just pounding through the material and yelling and screaming and whatnot. I am, for whatever reason, I just feel maybe a little bit more laid back. It's Christmas. We've got, we've got one more week till Christmas. Tonight, or today, next week is Christmas. Last night, a week from now, is going to be Christmas Eve. So, folks, a week from now, can you imagine? A week from now, folks, you're going to be opening presents under the Christmas tree, and you'll probably have to eat somebody's bad, what are those cakes? Fruit cakes.
The fruit cakes.
Yeah, the fruit cakes.
I like fruit cakes.
Do you really?
I actually like them.
Okay, let's compare traditions now. I'm going to issue. I just feel like I'm all over the doggone map. Well, let me back up a little bit.
Hey, you know what? Just let your little light shine and keep going.
That's it. That's it. Hey, it's my show. If I can't do what I want on it, what the hell?
That's right. You can do whatever you want.
So let me go back to your new Twitter. It's SAORSA, Saorsa, 1776.
Yeah.
And I have not looked this up. I have not gone to my favorite search engine, but Saorsa is what? A Scottish name? An Irish name?
It's Scottish.
Scottish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it means something, but I can't remember what it is, so enlighten me.
It is the Scottish word for liberty.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
Freedom.
Right.
Freedom. It's the Scottish, well, some people say liberty and some people say freedom, but I think technically it's freedom.
Okay.
But some people might argue and say that they know it as liberty, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Mary Brockman in chat says 2 weeks from now it'll be 2019. So,
oh
my gosh.
Time is going by so fast.
And we'll talk about that.
And the only thing that matters all the time is freedom and liberty. So whichever it is that people like to say, I think that's very important. So I changed my Twitter name to Scottish word for liberty and freedom.
And I think that's absolutely applicable, and it's a perfect change. And to emphasize once again, you have your very own website with a person whose name I can never doggone remember. Patrick, is it?
With Scott.
Scott,
with
okay.
My partner.
Right.
Scott. Yeah, my partner Scott. So my partner Scott, and he is an absolute fantastic human. I love him. He's fantastic, but he has been just tied up in life, and he's been kind of really super busy. And so the site has kind of we've put it on hold a little bit. I'm still doing it, and I still plan to use it for a lot of different projects coming in the new year, but I haven't written too much. I've really slowed down on writing since he got tied up with his, real life, and so I don't know. I maybe have written just like one article a week, even, or something. There are some times when I will write 20 articles a day, and that's like through the Kavanaugh hearing. I was going crazy, writing all over the place, and then I just really have slowed down. But I'm still doing a lot of things behind the scenes, so I still have a lot of things to talk about.
We'll get into politics, but being as Murray Brockman already points out, that the end of 2018 is nigh, and in 2 weeks, let's go back and you and I, and let's kibitz a bit about 2018, because in 2018, there are things that I'll wager we've already forgotten about. Does it seem to, how long, let me ask you this, just as a question that just came into my brain. How long ago has it been since our friend Nuclear Kim in North Korea was causing problems?
Right?
I mean,
my gosh.
Can we remember
my
that?
My personal year, my personal life and my personal year has gone by like, boom, right? But we have to look back to when Kim... That was only
June. That was June.
That was only June. I mean, isn't that incredible?
And there's so much stuff.
We're so removed from it now.
That has occurred, and there was in the in the mid to late 80s, a book that I had to read, and it was called Future Shock by Alvin Toffler, Toffler. And if you haven't read it, folks, it's interesting to read, if for no other reason that it's comparable to today. But even what the premise of the book from Alvin Toffler, Future Shock, is that we are reaching a point, and this is what he was prognosticating back in the mid to late 70s, is we're reaching a point where things are coming so fast and so quickly. And he was talking about things changing like year to year, and, some major assaults, major earth-shaking things about once every year or every few months. I don't really think that Alvin Toffler could possibly see the implications of and the logical extension of future shock in terms of today's politics, today's news, today's society.
Changing year to year, it's like changing literally
in America
to minute now.
It does. Mm-hmm. It changes so frequently, and we are bombarded by social media.
Oh, definitely.
The American media maggots themselves, politics, and it infuses itself into this gigantic weave and mesh that somehow manages to dovetail into our inextricable lives. Just to throw that example out there, I don't think Alvin Toffler really had any concept of how quickly life was going to change, and how people have always said, you're going to have to get used to change. I was told as a cop many years ago that don't get used to doing something because next year things will be different. Well, it's paradigm shifts now don't just occur every 5 years or every year. Sometimes a mental paradigm shift can occur and you're dragged kicking and screaming into it like every month. And so the only consistency now is change. And what I'd want to rattle your brainhousing group with tonight to begin with is technology. I'm of the opinion that we simply cannot stop technology, even if we want to. And I submit to you that technology is quite some distance ahead of where we are mentally. And I think we're going to have to somehow wire our brains we either rein it in and we either make it work for us or it's going to steamroller us.
Well, I have to tell you about this thing that happened to me today. My two boys came home from college. And so my older son, 20, and my middle child, my younger son, who's 16, they're both juniors in college. They both live on campus. So, they're coming home for college, even though it's just down the street. I don't get to see them, so they might as well be far away. But anyway, one of them is studying biomolecular and chemical engineering, and the other one is studying computer engineering, okay? And so the two of them are sitting there on the couch, and they're talking about what they're going to do over their 3-week vacation, and they've decided that they're going to make a game, an app, and I don't want to give it away because it's actually very innovative, but to hear these two rattle off between the two of them, one of them is going to be doing the coding, and the other one is just talking, he wants to start a business all the time. He's been talking about that since he was little, but he's the one who's the biomolecular and chemical engineering, and he just bang, 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 bang. There's no way we can't stop that generation from thinking in technical terms, right?
No.
We can't. I can't stop these two. These guys are going to just build something, and they're going to go buy another computer so that they can go and build this app. And I had no idea what they were talking about most of the time. Thermodynamics, they're still talking about that, but in a totally different application. Things that my parents and my grandparents would be just, dumbfounded to hear about. I am, and I'm use technology. So I don't think that we're going to be able to contain it. And it's just going to, it's like the way that a developmental pediatrician explained my second child, Stephen, to me when I had taken Stephen in when he was 5, and Stephen took an IQ test, and the doctor said, okay, I wanted to get him to stop taking it because he's done. He's already maxed out. He can't go any further.
Really?
He just won't stop. And I said, okay, well, what's wrong with him? He said, well, let me explain to you. This is how he's going to develop. He's going to, he's going to start, and as soon as you see him start to take off, he's just going to grow more rapidly. And then from that spot on, he's going to go even more rapidly, and he's just going to continue on like that. And that's kind of how it's going to work for him. And I stood there and I thought, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with him? And he said, well, you can send him to some schools up in New York, or you can just hang on and go for the ride. And it was the only way I can explain it is it was like a train. It's just going to start out slowly, and then it's going to start speeding up, and it's going to continue speeding up, at intervals, doubling each time until you really, literally, your head is spinning and you have no idea how just to do anything but hang on. And that's how I feel when I'm sitting around these two, 16 and 20 years old, right? I don't think that my generation is removed from them, from being able to understand how fast they can take off. Isn't that frightening in a way?
Yeah, but at first blush, when you first started your story, the first thing that came to my brain is, okay, both of those topic areas are things that those two will not regret in their entire lives. Those are things that, like I was looking at a list of jobs not to get in the future, currently and in the future, because they're disappearing. And if there, I'm assuming that there was some serious thought behind their choices of what they wanted to be. What'd you say? One was physics and another one was computer technology?
Yeah, Jimmy's actually studying something. It's biomolecular and chemical engineering, and it has to do with he can fluctuate between like creating medical devices to managing protein, and there's a lot of different places he can go in that kind of field. Yeah, he says something about being a protein manager, and he actually has a company who's very interested in him. It's a global company called Glambia, and they create protein and drinks, and they're going to buy up milk and cheese and all kinds of stuff. And he had originally thought he wanted to be a surgeon. So how he ended up over here, it's all sort of interconnected. But it's very heavy in chemistry. Mm.
I think that was a very brilliant thing that they did. Now, I admitted to everybody at the beginning that KARI and I are going to talk about anything that pretty much enters my brain. And as you were speaking, I went over to your Twitter feed, and I see this. And one of the things you'd written, because I've been watching this series, and you mentioned Nation of Islam and Scientology are linked.
Yes.
Wow, watching the aftermath right now, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let me explain what the aftermath is. It has to do with Scientology, and I have a Scientology story. I don't know if I've told it before, but I'll tell it now. Anyway, Leah Remini was on a very popular TV show, the name of which escapes me, but I think Jim Belushi was in it, and she was Jim Belushi's wife. I can't think of the name of the TV show, but it was very popular. Mm-hmm. And she was and has been a Scientologist all her life. And there have been a lot of famous people that were or are Scientologists, including Tom Cruise and John Travolta as well. Scientology was something that was created by L. Ron Hubbard, who essentially was a pulp fiction, science fiction author, who turned some kind of a disambiguationist and created this thing called Scientology. I'm not sure that I can explain Scientology, except that everything that I've read and watched lends credence to the fact that it looks and smells and acts and walks like nothing more than a cult, although it attempts to pass itself off as a religion. Leah Remini got out of Scientology. She has a new documentary-like series, which is on A&E, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It's on A&E, yeah, because I don't usually watch TV, and I was actually looking for Christmas, like a Christmas show or something to have playing in the background when my kids got home. Try to see if I could capture their attention to come sit with me, right? They'd see something on the TV interesting, like, oh, that's Christmas Eve, let me come sit with Mom. And I ended up finding this A&E special with Leah Remini. Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with people exiting Scientology. She has exited Scientology. And a lot of other people have exited Scientology. And if you can escape, if you somehow manage to escape, they track you and hound you. They make your life a living hell. And that they tell the people that are, if you have any family members that are Scientologists, they are themselves, the family members, told to cut your ass off. It appears to be nothing more than a cult, but it claims religious status, so it is tax-free. Because it is tax-free, it makes millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. They have massive pieces of property all over the United States. I think the headquarters is in, I don't know, Santa Barbara or San Bernardino or somewhere in Southern California.
Hollywood, and I remember, it's in Hollywood, and I remember when I lived in Hollywood, because I had seen L. Ron Hubbard books all over the place when I was a kid.
Right,
in
Dianetics.
Michigan. And when I moved to Hollywood, it was there, and people told me, stay away from Scientology, stay away from L. Ron Hubbard, and I knew the name because, I've seen those weird, creepy books all over the place. So when I lived in Hollywood, I knew stay away from that building right there. Don't go near it.
And the reason that I equate this to a cult is my brief encounter with Scientology has to do with when I was at college. I was at Sac State University in California, CSUS. And when you're in college, it's no shame or it's no shocking revelation to know that as a guy, I'm all about the chicks. Well, this one gal picked me up and said, hey, there's a place I want to take you that's in Davis. Folks, if you've ever heard of the Republic of Davis in California, it's a massive leftist enclave where UCD, University of California, Davis, resides. And we went into this big building, and I'm thinking, man, she's picking me up, and she's taking me places. Dude, BZ, there will be some scoring in your future. No, there wasn't. We went into this big room, occupied. We had to drive from Sacramento to Davis on Interstate 80 westbound. She's driving. Exits, we go into this big building. She starts to try to introduce me to a ton of people. They try to get me to sign up for Scientology. But to sign up, it takes, $1,000. Well, $1,000, to a college student, you might as well be telling a college student, in the late 60s, early 70s, you might as well tell them, hey, while you're there, see if you can purchase that Empire State Building, because that's about the same price. It'll be easy.
Right?
And so only after one night did I finally determine that these people are nuts, B, there is no trim from this person in my future, and C, make sure that you don't have anything to do with Scientology ever again, because that was active recruitment of me by essentially what, spies and the black ops people would call a honey trap, to try to get me involved in Scientology. Once I came to that realization, even in my late teens, early 20s, I realized I really didn't have anything to do with it anymore. I never read the damn book, and because of it, I never wanted to read the book. But that in concert with what's happening now with Leah Remini and the fact that you wrote this, see how circuitous this is? This is how weird my brain is. Now I'm finally getting back to your tweet. You saw the show, so what is it? What is it that links Scientology, or that they were saying that links Scientology with the Nation of Islam?
Well, so I thought it was fascinating because I have throughout my investigations of trying to figure out Hitler and who was involved with who and as a political structure, and I remember running into places where people had drawn connections to Hitler and using Muslims. Okay. By the way,
this is always just a second.
Kind of a theory,
we got a minute before the bottom of the hour break. So after the break, we are going to come right back. So I'll let you know when we need to break, but I'm not going to stop you from that because I still want to hear what you have to say. But I'm just telling you that a break is coming.
Well, so that was just sort of that's always kind of in my wheelhouse. So when she said that, it was really startling to me. But anyway, in the show tonight, what she was showing was Louis Farrakhan had been talking about his concerns that people were attacking the Church of Scientology, and he is referring to Leah Remini. And in this show tonight, The Aftermath, Scientology and the Aftermath, which she's talking about why she got out of it and interviewing people who also have gotten out of it. She showed some footage of Louis Farrakhan talking about Scientology, and like I said, he's concerned that people are attacking the Church of Scientology, and he was, kind of dissing Leah Remini, and I can't remember exactly what he said. I'm sure that there's footage out there of what he said, but I just was like, whoa. As a political machine, we know who Louis Farrakhan is and what he represents and his whole, Nation of Islam. So, to me, that was, it makes sense. It's logical to me. That's why I wrote, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Because I think that those people are used a lot for political dominance.
On that note, we're going to have to take a break. Folks, we're talking to KARI Baxter Donovan, who is BZ's East Coast political goddess. This is the Bloviating Zeppelin. You're in the saloon, and we're going to take a break and be right back. I have a question for KARI about that, Scientology and the Nation of Islam, when we come back. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show right here on the SHR Media Network. Merry Christmas.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Live and direct right here from the SHR Media studios. Mary Brockman says, thanks, BZ, gotta get to bed. Well, she's on the East Coast, so on the East Coast, it's like 11:36 right now. So I perfectly understand that. Thanks for staying up so late. And it took me a while to realize that in retrospect, I get the bulk of my listeners on podcast, and because I'm on so late at night, and apparently most of my viewers and listeners are on the East Coast, very few are actually active in the chat room. I've had maybe 20 or 30 people in here at one time. That's not common. Because I am on so late, it's late night, and listen, Mary Brockman, I've been trying to watch my F words and S words, okay? I've been trying to make sure that I don't dent the psyche of too many people by that. So we're talking to KARI Baxter Donovan, who is my East Coast political goddess, and we first met at SHR, through SHR, in, I think, 2016. The first time I think I remember hearing you is when SHR was doing something political, and you called in and made a report from the East Coast about politics. It was not the...
Yeah, it was from the convention, I think.
Yeah, I think it was from a convention. Yeah, it wasn't the presidency. It wasn't about that, because we had you... No. We had you here for the midterms, and we also had you for the presidential election in 2016. But that's where I first met you. And then I didn't get a show on SHR until actually January of 2017. Right. I was a remora on other people's show for quite some time until I actually got my own show. Like I said, but it wasn't until...
Now look at you.
January 2017. So, my gosh, that also makes me realize next month it will be 2 years for the saloon. Oh, and welcome to Dave Milner in chat. Well, yeah, we could. But anyway, I thought, okay, in some of my earlier shows, I had a lot of whiskey, a lot of White Mamba on, and then I started talking to you, and we seemed to hit it off pretty well. And so I like to have you back because you have a very interesting perspective. You have a very unique life. You're a homeschooler, so God bless you for that. I don't know what kind of price you pay for homeschooling your kids, but my guess would be it ain't easy. And so I like to have you back because we are predominantly of a like mind, but you also have a very interesting perspective on a lot of stuff. And that now gets back to, let's see, what were we talking about? Oh, Scientology. I regaled you with my Scientology story. And when I started listening to this, the head of, when I heard this, the head of Scientology is this cat named David Miscavige. He's 58 years old. He controls everything in Scientology. And officially it is called the Church of Scientology, which is obviously how they get away with their tax-free status.
The tax, and there's a number of people who are fighting that they're trying to get laws passed and get their tax status revoked so that they have to pay taxes. And I wrote an article about someone who's involved with politics. Is how I ran into this person's name. And so writing an article, I was asked to write an article about someone, and doing some research about this person, ended up talking to somebody who is named Jeffrey Augustine, and he is leading the charge on trying to get that tax status revoked. And I talked to him on a series of articles that I wrote for someone, and this man knows everything about what they're doing, and he knows because of his wife, who had a very tragic situation happen. You spoke about, the family members being, cutting family ties between people. The things that happened to her son, this Jeffrey Augustine's wife, son from a different marriage. The son actually died while away from her, and she was not allowed to get information from him. So he just is fired up to try to, seek some retribution from the Church of Scientology, and he told me a number of things about them. So they have been sort of on my, horizon a little bit. And I have to tell you that after writing a series of articles about a person, I had a number of very bizarre things happen to me.
Okay.
And it really spooked me out. And I have to tell you, I am quite frightened of Scientology. Now, I don't think that they're going to kill me. I don't think that they're going to hurt my family. I just find them to be spooky characters. And then when I saw this show tonight, and I sort of happened into it, and then when she said that thing about, the Nation of Islam, I'm just like, I am so creeped out because I keep seeing these ads come on. I don't watch TV very often, but I do check in on Fox News on occasion if I want to write an article or something, and there'll be commercials about a new station for Scientology. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're not getting smaller. It seems like they're getting more influential. Their power is not diminishing, it's getting bigger. And this Jeffrey Augustine and then Leah Remini and her show, and he knows her, and there's a small group of people who are, anti-Scientology, which is kind of, for us being classic liberals or, free speech and free association and all of that, because I don't know outwardly that anybody can point to any reason to be scared of Scientology, but it's just once you get past that, skin deep level, once you go a little deeper, it starts to get kind of creepy, the things that you hear that are coming out of that. And that the man that you named, his wife apparently has been missing for 6 or 10 years or something.
Yes. And that is also a
really
weird thing.
Creepy.
I found some immediate commonalities when you mentioned the Nation of Islam. They both revolve around a central, powerful figure. One thing I discovered when Leah Remini mentioned this is I looked at, I briefly glanced at something about David Miscavige, who's the CEO, basically, of everything. And when I saw this fact, the first thing that crept into my brain was, okay, now that answers a lot of questions as to why he's, the people are portraying him as essentially the tyrant that he might be. I was first thinking, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Small man's complex. The guy's 5 feet 3 inches tall, and it's with somebody like that, it's all about power. Now, you mentioned Shelley Miscavige, the wife of the Scientology leader. Like you said, she has not been seen for about 10 years. There was either last week or the week before, I don't remember which, a story that Leah Remini was telling where she only disappeared when it appeared that she was attempting, that is to say Miscavige's wife, Shelley, was attempting to locate some kind of a way of extricating herself from Scientology. Now, Leah Remini left in 2013 when she attempted to leave, and there was information that they had that she was attempting to leave, that's when magically, mystically, and inexplicably, she just disappears. Taken in totality,
right,
all of the things that I'm hearing, Scientology just reeks. It just reeks. It screams cult to me.
Yeah, it's scary. And I'm a Christian, and my faith is very important to me. So I try to be very open-minded when people have, spiritual matters, or if they have people that they who have mentored them or who are very important, like Jesus is to me, right? So I think, well, some people think that Christianity is a cult. So I try to be very open-minded about these kinds of things, because I don't look at Christianity as a cult, and it's very important to me. It's foundational, it's just very, very important to me in my life. And if you told me I couldn't have it, and if I was facing legal, repercussions for it, I wouldn't give it up, because it's so important to me, right? And so, some people say it's a cult. So I try to think, well, these are Americans, and they have rights. And
yes,
they have rights to
do.
be in a cult, even.
Yes, they do.
At some point, right? But with this woman missing, and they won't show her for 10 years, and then the story that I know from, Jeffrey Augustine, who talks about the son, the mother not having access to her own child when he was dying. I think that there's some legal matters that start to come are interwoven there in Scientology that are very frightening, like children being taken from their parents or given by their parents to be raised without any parents. I mean, these are legal issues, I think, right?
Yes.
So there's something going on that needs to be investigated.
They share commonalities, as I indicated, and traits. There's a problem with a religion or an organization that when you get in, if you have trouble exiting or leaving, you've got a major issue. And it appears on all surfaces that trying to exit Scientology is like trying to get out of the Hell's Angels, a biker gang. Once you're in for life. It's like being a member of La Eme. Yeah. When you're in for life. And Islam is the same thing. Once you're in, Islam wants to assimilate you, and if you won't assimilate you, it has no problem with killing you or casting you aside. So those share some commonalities as far as I'm concerned. Now, because my brain is squirting off in all sorts of different directions, and
that's awesome. I love it.
And we've only got about 13 more minutes left before the top of the hour. I don't know if you know who this cat Jim Kallstrom is. Jim Kallstrom used to be an assistant director of the FBI, and I met the guy, and he's really one squared away guy. He was involved in 9/11. He now, because he's retired, he weighs in on a couple of networks, mostly Fox, I believe. And James Kallstrom, a guy that I respect, he's got his own little personal issues. The guy is, like any person he's kind of he has a huge ego, but he applies his in a different fashion than the person that I'm going to talk about now. Here's a cut from James Kallstrom, who's a former FBI assistant director, and went through some really serious stuff with the FBI. I think he also went through the Mueller building in Oklahoma City, if I'm not mistaken. He was in some major investigations along the way. And this is James Kallstrom weighing in on who I call Jimmy the Leak Comey. And what he said when I heard this on the Lou Dobbs show, this stabbed me right in the heart, because I think that James Kallstrom has completely nailed Jimmy the Leak Comey.
You looked at a picture of someone who was a narcissist. You'd have Jim Comey's. That would be the picture you'd have in the book. The guy's just out of his mind. The notion that the FBI reputation has been soiled, not because of him, but because of other things. I mean, it's because of him. And it's because of the other 5 or 6 or 10 or 12, whatever the number is, people around him, the McCabe's of the world, the Strucks of the world.
Let's see.
The Pages of the world, and all the rest of these people.
Everyone who is associated with him has been sullied and soiled and disgraced, whether they've been fired or whether they've been resigned.
Yeah, he's an educated nimwit. I mean, and he promoted people of his ilk around him.
Yes.
I guess so he wouldn't feel he'd feel like he was still going to be the imperial wizard. The guy is just out of his mind, quite frankly. What he's done criminally, the federal violations he's put himself into, and the Bureau, he has zero support now in the FBI.
As well, he should not have any support in the FBI. So, any thoughts about James Comey, KARI Baxter Donovan?
Well, I was going to say that even I, as a citizen journalist, have a high-profile Department of Homeland Security source who told me, and I've told you the story before of walking my dog in New Hampshire, and I bump into a guy from the Department of Homeland Security, it's Boston. So there's a lot of those bigwigs, in that area, and
right.
in New Hampshire. And anyway, who told me basically, and this was right before Trump announced that he was running, who basically said to me, listen, the problem's Comey, and everybody knows that the problem's Comey. The leadership is rotten, but that doesn't mean that all FBI agents are rotten. You have to remember, he told me, there are just as many patriots in the FBI and the DOJ as there are here in New Hampshire, you and I walking and talking, but it's Comey. He's rotten. So even I, as a citizen journalist, a nobody, a stay-at-home mom, has a source who tells me, it's like apparently everybody knows that it's Comey. And he, that clip, that was really interesting because I think that often I equate Hillary Clinton as the woman who has corrupted Washington, D.C. by influencing and seducing people, weakened people, greedy people, and frightened people into committing crimes for her. And I think that she's taken advantage of a lot of people who might have otherwise not been criminals and turned them into criminals. And I think that James Comey, is her little partner in crime there. And he did the same thing, it looks like, right in the FBI. It looks like he might have created some problems where people might have liked to follow the law, might have liked to just do their job, and he's probably corrupted them.
It's no secret that I used to work for the FBI, and then I came to my senses and worked for the U.S. Marshals, and then I worked for local agencies for the rest of my time in law enforcement. While I was in the FBI, I made some contacts, and I never got my OP, which is an office of preference, but I had some contacts in Sacramento, and I still have some contacts there in the FBI, current contacts. Well, a retired contact who still has her own contacts, and a live current contact in the FBI. And essentially what they're saying is they're disappointed in Christopher Wray, but it's a hell of a lot better than James Comey. And one thing that you emphasized, that they continuously emphasize to me, is please, please, please make the striation between the Indians and the chiefs. And that is to say the line-level agents and management up on the 7th floor of the FBI building. And so you're right, we have to make a clear distinction with that, with some caveats. But I'm submitting that James Comey ruined, and now we're discovering in retrospect that Robert Mueller was part and parcel of helping to undermine the FBI. He is working in league with Comey, and we got about 6 minutes left. Let me throw a general philosophy of mine that I have come to, and I arrived at this thought at least a year ago. And it's been buttressed month after month, week after week since that time. And I was dragged kicking and screaming into the conclusion that what we are seeing, have been seeing, are seeing currently, and will see in the future is an ongoing coup against a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a current sitting president. And this is absolutely unprecedented. I believe it is an ongoing coup against the United States, specifically against now a president of the United States, and anyone we're seeing who may even remotely be linked to him in some fashion. We still have no proof that I've seen of Russian collusion, Putin, etc. What we have so far are crimes of process only. I believe it's a coup. What are your thoughts, KARI Baxter Donovan?
There are some people. There's actually an article up on my site. I had interviewed someone from the LaRouche Foundation, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they say that
just
this
1 second.
coup has been going on,
hang
and
on,
that
just
it's actually led by the Brits.
Okay, hang on just 1 second. Okay, the what foundation?
The LaRouche Foundation.
Okay, I am unfamiliar with that.
And I've seen them out at numerous events before, and I really stopped and I talked to one of the head guys at an activist rally in D.C. Back in about September. And I spent about an hour talking to him, and he was tying up some loose ends for me in my mind with JFK and Saul Alinsky. He was probably about 75 years old, so he had a really firm grasp of this. This was, he was alive during this time. He was very politically active. So he told me all of these things about JFK and Saul Alinsky and how they were working, how things were working at that time. They weren't working together, but how things were working. And he said, hey, the coup, what we saw started around, with JFK and when he was talking about secret societies, he said was the Brits. And it all has to come back to the Brits. And he said they're doing the same thing. And so their papers are a lot tying up, running things, explaining things, and running parallel games with the British. They say this is all about the British to take over the United States. And it's been going on since the beginning, of the country.
Are they trying to make the link between Christopher Steele, who is a British citizen, and the dossier? Is that the link that he's trying to make?
They might have, but that's not their only link. I think they're talking about banks. He could be in it. I haven't read their papers, but one of the economists contacted me and asked me, you met us at the rally, would you write an article? And I said yes. And so they're really focused on Mueller, and they say that, like you're saying, it's a coup, and they believe that the source of it is the Brits and whoever's involved with it, right? It would make sense because they have that British spy. So it was kind of like, oh, well, it's right there. There's this British spy with that dossier. It doesn't have anything to do with Russia. Like today, we watched the whole Flynn thing back and forth, and you talk about changing by the minute so fast you can barely keep up. But what we do know is there was nothing about Trump and Russia collusion, treason, or anything. But there's a number of people who believe that yes, Trump is going to be impeached because that's what they're going to do, and he doesn't have to have committed any crime. They're pushing for it, and we're going to have to accept it. They're going to impeach him.
An impeachment really doesn't have that great a meaning anymore because Clinton was impeached and he sat. He wasn't even remembered for his impeachment. We remember Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress. No one remembers that Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress. Dave Milner in chat asks you, he says, ask KARI this, if it's traced back to the Brits, might it not be traced farther back? This is interesting. To the United Nations.
Yeah, and I think that they do talk about that. They had such amazing materials at this rally, and I've seen them, like I said, I see them out at a lot of different events. And this man was just on fire. But they have all these economists and really smart people. There are videos on their beliefs, and probably, of course, right, what it was the United Nations created for, but to destroy us, right, with our permission and us paying for it.
Okay. All right. We're kind of up against it right now at the top of the hour.
Did I take you off onto a different tangent?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, listen. This is BZ's psychometry show, I guess. This is BZ's stream of consciousness show. I guess what I'm getting to, it's the top of the hour right now, And there are still a couple of things that I'd like to talk to you with you about. Would you be amenable to hanging on over the break and continuing a little bit?
I love talking to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell you what, we'll do that. It's the top of the hour. It's 9 p.m. on the left coast, and it's the magic witching hour of midnight on the east coast. And it's 17:59 and 172.5 subsector B, paragraph 4, Bolivian time. So tell you what, let's go here. We'll go to a promo, a break, and we'll be right back. Folks, we're talking to KARI Baxter Donovan, who happens to be the Bloviating Zeppelin's East Coast political goddess. We're going to take a break, be right back, and we will continue with Stream of Consciousness, BZ Radio on SHR Media. Go to shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here in the SHR Media studios, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles east of the Bill Mill, the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Capitol building in Sacramento, Fornicalia. And we are talking to KARI Baxter Donovan, who is BZ's East Coast political goddess. Tonight, it's Stream of Consciousness, last show before the new year with KARI Baxter Donovan herself. And we're going anywhere and everywhere our little brain housing groups feel like going. One thing I just noticed during the break is that when you fart in a leather chair, you get a really good reverberation from that. Just thought I'd pass that to you. And anyway, moving right along. What? Is there a problem? Anyway, what we were talking about is that there's some other stories that came out recently, and I find them frustrating and disappointing simultaneously. One of them came out today, and I find it most irritating. Maybe I'm downplaying that a little bit, but I've had time to process it, let's say. And I'd like to read a good portion of it, and I'd like to have you weigh in as well, because to me, this presents me with a conundrum, but a continuing sense of what we've experienced for quite some time. And I'm sure you know when I mention these two names, you'll have an idea of where it is that I'm going. John McCain was part of it. The biggest issue that I ever had with John McCain, he and I were not big compadres, and he was not my favorite guy, and I did not send him Christmas cards. I can't say that I was joyful when he passed away. My biggest gripe with John McCain was that he was not honest and clear. I wish he'd been honest and clear and simply come out and said and admitted what he was. He was not a Republican. He was a Democrat. He threatened the GOP with going over to the Democrat Party. In the meantime, he did his very level best up until his death to make sure that he shat in the GOP punch bowl. Now, having learned at the heels of John McCain, there was Jeff Flake, who aptly named, I should add, who also, being a lame duck, managed to drop a large turd in the GOP political punch bowl and then giggle about it as he's exiting stage left. Please notice that I didn't say that he was exiting stage right. That having been said, here's an article from KTLA Channel 5. The headline is, "This is today." The headline is, U.S. pledges $10.6 billion in aid for Central America, southern Mexico, as part of effort to reduce migration. The United States pledged $5.8 billion in aid and investment Tuesday for strengthening government and economic development in Central America, and another $4.8 billion in developmental aid for southern Mexico. The U.S. aid aims to promote better security, conditions, and job opportunities as part of a regional plan to allow Central Americans and Mexicans to remain in their countries and not have to emigrate. Now, the plan was announced in a joint U.S.-Mexican statement released by the State Department. And what do we know about the State Department? We know this. The State Department's contributions to political campaigns have been roughly 95% to Democrats. And politically speaking, the State Department people are roughly at least 90% Democrat as well. So this really should not come as a massive shock. And it was read aloud by Mexican Foreign Relations Secretary Marcelo Ebrard in the Mexican capital. In sum, he said, I think this is good news, very good news for Mexico. Well, yeah, it is. The first thing that I thought of, KARI Baxter Donovan, after I read this article, was, do you remember earlier this week where a contingent of the South Americans, perhaps with some Mexicans thrown in as well, went to their local embassy, the U.S. consulate, and said, hey, we have this great idea. Pay us $50,000 and we'll go back to our country. Does that sound a little bit like what we just agreed to, KARI Baxter Donovan? Is this shakedown money?
Well, I think that any time that with President Trump, analyzing what he does is so difficult because he comes at problems from many different directions, and many of them are non-traditional, and some of them are quite creative. And so it's hard for me to get excited about things when I like to listen to what he says and watch what he does.
To my knowledge, he has not yet weighed in on this. Hard. I haven't heard anything from him about this yet. I'm curious if he's going to say something later this week.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from him on this, but I know what people are going to say, and they're going to say, KARI, you keep saying that Mexico is going to pay for the wall. And I say, well, because that's what Trump keeps saying. When he keeps doubling down and tripling down on things, so I have to take him at his word, because he says, he's promised so many things and he's kept his promise on so many things. He's not perfect and he's not a god. He's going to screw up. He's going to mess up. So this might be what he messes up on. But what I'm wondering is, wouldn't it be interesting if he gives them this aid and then they turn around and use it to build a wall? Wouldn't that be funny? I'm not trying to be a slippery noodle, but it's dangerous, I think, to try to analyze him or his administration and think that we understand the end game, because they change, they go around. It's like that OODA loop conversation that we had.
Yes.
They come out of nowhere and they change things around just when you think that you understand what they're doing. So this is hard. This is stressful. Like, you're going to give them the money now? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why
people are going to be...
I found it disturbing, a conundrum in and of itself. And I tried to, because immediately people want to take something immediately and run with it somewhere. So I had to take my breath, because the biggest problem, obviously, is that Trump was asking for $5 billion for the wall. And I think it's going to be more than that. But, of course, the Democrats have insisted, no way, we're not going to do that. And we dare you to shut down the government. So now, in total, we're considering giving $10 billion, a minimum of twice that, to Mexico and the South American countries, which in and of itself just really grates in my craw. But now, having said that, here's another article, and I don't know if you can parse this more than I can, because at this point, this just came out, today, as a matter of fact. And I'm still attempting to process what this means, and maybe this is the first time that you will have heard this article. But this is from Hot Air, which is run by Ed Morrissey. And the headline is, Unity, Trump 2020 to merge with the RNC. I thought, okay, all right. And our problem is... Now, this is written by Ed Morrissey himself, and it's interesting. Note the way in which he crafts this article. That's my question to you when I finish reading it. And so Ed Morrissey writes, if anyone doubted that the Republican Party was a wholly owned subsidiary of Trump Incorporated, a new deal announced yesterday put any residual skepticism to rest. The RNC will merge with Donald Trump's 2020 campaign for both fundraising and field operations. The unprecedented merger offers greater efficiency, but also a bigger risk for Republicans as long as Robert Mueller's probe continues. Now, I saw a number of issues. It goes further. But I saw a number of issues in that from the very beginning. The first question is the GOP really going to hitch its star to Donald Trump? Because up to this point, I have heard nothing but mouth music, predominantly from the GOP. And in the meantime, I've seen people dropping turds in punch bowls all across the United States, dropped by GOP members. Paul Ryan.
Well, I can give you a little bit of inside baseball on that one.
Okay, because Paul Ryan is not going GOP, along with this. He hates Trump.
Right.
Well, he's a lame duck anyway.
Right. And the GOP should hitch their wagon to Trump. He is the Republican president.
Yes, they
should. They didn't hitch their wagon to him the last time. They were doing everything that they could possibly do to try to, to shake him off. And it was like, they couldn't shake him off even at the convention, and they were trying to shake him off and get rid of him. The field offices did nothing. The GOP did nothing to help. They were actually trying to throw it the entire time. They were knocking on the doors. Their apps were geared to screwing up Trump. They were trying to get their state directors fired all over the place. The GOP was trying to get their state directors, their Trump state directors, all messed up.
Okay.
I
believe that.
It is a miracle that Trump won. So that's how the GOP should be operating. But I can give you a little inside baseball, which is they're going to do what they have to do to keep up appearances for everyone.
Okay.
But nobody actually believes the GOP is going to be able to do anything really for Trump. They should, but they're not going to. They're not smart enough to do it. They're not capable of handling a winning campaign. So they might want to. They might even really want to try. I noticed this Rhonda is all the time, talking big. Oh, it seems so hopeful that she's going to be helping Trump. I don't think anybody believes that. She may believe it, but no. But they have to make it look like they're supporting the Republican candidate for president, even if they're going to try to primary him, which many people believe they're going to try to primary him, probably with Ryan, who has, I think, $63 million in a treasure chest, right, in a war chest somewhere. So,
Paul Ryan.
It's
Paul Ryan.
That's not going to stop. That's not going to stop the Trump supporters, because truly, Trump supporters don't belong to either party anyway. So if the Republicans want to be winners, they're going to hitch their star to Trump.
Paul Ryan.
Otherwise, they can just go on and be losers forever and ever and ever. But the GOP is really gotten themselves into a mess, and the grassroots, because I've been working with the GOP since before George Bush. And they've allowed themselves to get into this mess because they wouldn't listen to the people, and they kept going to the left with like John McCain,
right,
who should have been, he should have been censored. He should have been beaten back and told, no, we're not supporting you. But they didn't want to because they were afraid of him. Everybody's afraid of him. And most of and again, it's Indians in chief. The leaders of the GOP go to the left. The grassroots, the people in the GOP, are conservative. So there's a constant battle in the GOP over issues like this, and they let themselves get so far to the left that they don't even represent their own people anymore.
They're so far
afield. That's the danger of a
afield.
two-party system.
I should have seen that. KARI Baxter Donovan, I should have seen that. My first thought was, and thank you for your insight on this, I was of two minds, and I initially thought, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get Ed Morrissey's slant on this. And I didn't get the RNC saying that they're going to hitch their star on Trump, because officially, when have they ever really done that in the past? And the answer, as you just provided, is never. But I should have seen something that you just pointed out. My first thought was, okay, he came back. He's back. He came back to Utah. Mittens Romney. I thought, okay, here's the loser that the GOP will run again. And the reason, may I be honest with you, KARI Baxter Donovan?
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't dislike.
Even if it hurts, go right ahead.
Okay. I don't dislike Mitt Romney. I despise Mitt Romney for lying to me. Because I found out, and I don't know about you, but I'm bad. I need to be forgiven, and I'm a bad person. I'll be one of the first to admit it, but I tend to kind of hold grudges. And that's the reason that
I could tell you about Mitt Romney.
I resolved.
I worked the polls for Mitt Romney.
Okay, but let me back up. Let me back up and get to my.
Hours.
Let me get back up and
got babysitters
and get to
I'm
my
a stay-at-home mom.
My point first.
To go to poll for him. Yeah, I'm pissed off at him too.
Okay, but here's you're pissed off at him for that reason.
Oh, yeah.
I don't just
lying.
Don't like him. I despise him for lying to me, because I had to discover later on after the campaign that he spoke to his son and said, after all, in retrospect, I really wasn't that interested in running for president anyway. Then why the hell did you waste my time, Mitt Romney? And my guess would be he's going to run again. So
yeah, I have lawyers come up to me to find me, to tell me, Mitt Romney lawyers, to say to me, can you please